meteorologist Erika Martine, and I have a special guest with me today. I'm very excited to have CPEZ. Many of you know him as an award-winning accordion player, a champion, world champion accordion player, and we are going to speak to him because what many of you might not know about CPEZ, and we'll see his face in just one moment, he's just walking through the snow. What many of you might not know about him is that he is also an official Skywarn storm spotter. He is certified by the National Weather Association for his work in tracking storms. And so he is officially somebody who can give data to the National Weather Service. So it's the National Weather Service, but the NWA is a part of it. So NOAA, all of those, NHC, they're all associated. So he is officially allowed to give information to the National Weather Service for his data. Now, I do want to, of course, introduce him, and I want to see his beautiful little face in just one moment. But we want to tell you, he also has studied meteorology. That was one of his spaces when he studied music as well. But he can tell you a lot about himself. He's got an amazing background. But I want to really touch on the wild card, if you will, here, Corey or CPEZ, and that is regarding the mesoscale banding. So with that said, let's introduce everybody to you and tell us a little bit about yourself and tell everybody at home about yourself.
Well, I mean, we're talking just the weather self or the
No, but like if you know that you're like tell us about your background and your ability to just inform the National Weather Service and why you're doing this right now. And then we'll talk about the mesoscale banding and the setup.
Well, I mean, what got me into weather was snow, of course. My two things are snow and hurricanes. But I always did. I wrote a report. I remember once when I was a kid for AccuWeather about how I thought the winters were changing in New England because we were getting more snow. But in the southern part of Rhode Island, they were not getting as much snow and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Then 2005, still a kid, I wrote the what became the official record list for the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season because I just kept going, oh, well, how many major hurricanes in the Caribbean? How many major hurricanes? Okay, they went to the Gulf of Mexico, blah, 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 blah. And I made up a 21-page report of every record set by it. And then different meteorologists like, who the hell is this accordion guy? Is that the same guy that wrote this report? So I've always gotten into more history and statistics. I'm more the guy that when an event happens, say, well, how historic is this? Which is funny because we're talking about that today. We're going to get into Rhode Island. Still snowing. We've got this end of this band. I think there's one more band coming through, by the way. That was after the snow gap. There was a big snow hole over Worcester. Funny for them to.
We're a dry slot, right?
Yeah, dry slot. Yeah.
Sorry.
But the Mesos had some kind of giant band in Southeast Mass pretty consistently, and I thought I was going to get involved in it, and I was on the.
We may have lost him for just one moment, so just be patient.
I was probably a mile from it, and I don't know if I was sucking substance or something, but I had a storm. Like I was saying earlier, like I was telling you earlier, normally the National Weather Service doesn't believe my totals because they seem too high, and I always do well here. The past 5 or so years, it's the opposite. They're not believing my totals because they seem too low. This is
But explain that. Explain why explain your methodology here. This is gonna be quite why I lost you.
Oops, I'm sorry, someone was calling. Say that again.
Okay. Explain that one more time. I want everybody to know like how you're measuring and what your methodology is because it is an official methodology.
Well, I mean, the way to measure snow is a whole other thing. Is you go by the 6-hour rule. You don't want to go sideways here. You don't want to just stick a thing in the ground like this here and say, oh, that's how much snow we have. You have to measure it every 6 hours, especially in these storms, because the snow compacts. Now, you don't want to measure every hour because now you're inflating the totals. The happy medium is every 6 hours. And then, there's different ways to kind of check. I always have different spots that I'm always checking, especially when you get 2 inches an hour and so and such. This is my entire snow depth, which is finally at about 2 feet. This is kind of a drift. I was just having fun with this just to show what 30 inches, looks like. The highest snow depth I ever had was after the 4 storms of 2015. It was 31 inches, but Boston had around 45 because they got more of the meat of all 4 of those storms. but I had 10 inches on the ground with a crusty top, an inch of crust. So the fact that there's only 2 feet, shows you that at most maybe 14 inches compact total. So it's hard to
Mhm.
say more than 16, 17, 18 inches, which is nuts because everyone around me has more than 2 feet. And Providence broke
Right,
its all-time record by
right.
hours ago by a
Uh,
mile. The blizzard of 78. Now the town I'm standing in here, by the way, this is where it was the center of the blizzard of 78. We got 50 inches of snow because many had reported
mhm,
over 40, and in those days they didn't do the 6 hour rule. So the way we measure snow now, it was certainly over 50 inches of snow here, and I'm at
mhm,
350 feet elevation. And the blizzard of 78 now has been beaten for Providence, where they had 28.2 or 28.7. Today, they're going to probably hit 3 feet at the airport.
yeah.
And that blows away blizzard. And in Rhode Island, all we talk about with snow, all we talk about is blizzard 78. Blizzard. There's beers named after. There's restaurants named after it. And this storm, for 2/3 of Rhode Island,
We're New
has
Englanders.
beaten the
We love
blizzard of
it.
78. But it's amazing. This storm, which to me the total is not even memorable. The
Yeah.
wind and the drifts are pretty memorable, but the total is not even remotely memorable.
But it's not
Blizzard of
but I
20.
do want to, but right there, I want to mention something. It's not memorable to you where you are right now, but I've got to tell you, I had my own bus in that I went with the GFS for most of the time. And then when I looked at the NAM model, I started to split the difference. And I initially started in the 20s for Jersey and then into the mid to upper 20s. And eventually I even pushed and I thought we could see some 40s because of how everything was how I did see those bands setting up. But as you understand it, with the rapidly, intensifying or deepening cyclone, an offshore cyclone like that, there could be so many issues, and we can really have that wild card, which is that banding. And that's what you saw where those dry slots, unfortunately, where you are, there was a dry slot, and where we also saw the frontogenesis and the overall instability, this deformation zones, everything was set a little farther north. So this is why these numbers in New Jersey were more in like the 20s and the teens, which the GFS initially picked up on. And when I started to see that the deformation zone, I even with the NAM, like the night before, I was on live, and I still favored those higher numbers farther south. And even you're saying, hey, look, I looked at this storm, but you can't. It's still, while it is not, you compare. I love that you said like hurricanes and snowstorms, like nor'easters, right? Those are every New Englander's favorites, right? So, but much like that, you're dependent on how the deepening behaves, right? Because the deepening in and of itself of that low, right? That's when it bombs out. It actually does tilt in the atmosphere. It actually does something in the atmosphere, which then allows those bands to set up in different ways than we initially thought. So to me, I don't think it's so much more of what you saw as perhaps what the models picked up. And now I know something that you and I don't often discuss, but I've as of late, I've been discussing more. Could this be a topic for weather migration or climate adaptation? Because I can't say that you're not justified in your numbers, but I could say that wow, the rapid intensification or that deepening. I don't even know what the official number is for when it bombed out. I saw something as low as 966, but if it was like
Oh
968,
yeah, the last I checked was
969,
972. But what's it down
okay,
to?
right. So, but we don't even, we've got to have that official number. But I'm
Yeah.
saying that, from a scientific perspective, like I said, I should have stuck with my GFS, which had me in the 20s and it's some low 30s and lots of teens, right? But I said, well, I looked at that deepening and that intensification, and I said, wow, this really could come farther south, right? Come backwards, dip far south enough, pull that cold air down, and I could see those higher numbers in Jersey. Turns out it actually stayed farther north, and now we've got those bands, those mesoscale bands that are actually intensifying far. Like what did you say? 10 miles north of you. Is that what you said?
No. It was about a mile away down,
Okay.
all the way down through Southeast Mass,
Right. But
centered
you
on
gave me
Taunton,
like a
Mass.
different, okay. Taunton.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, for those of you who don't know Taunton, what so far, what have they gotten?
Oh, they've got solidly 35 over there.
Right. So okay, so there you go. So not one of the, not even the initial GFS, not even the ECMWF, the Euro, the GFS, and not even the NAM picked up those numbers. The NAM the night
No.
before, and I'll go back to that live.
And the
The
NAM is
NAM
usually very high, very wet.
But the NAM did pick up some upper 20s in Massachusetts and some low 30s. But I just felt like, wow, no, I'm seeing the deepening and the intensification farther south, which then left me favoring numbers farther south of those higher totals. Now you're saying you go to Taunton and you're pushing 40, right?
Oh yeah, no, and there's a report from someone that I don't know, but the our NBC affiliate meteorologist that I know well knows, and he said 40 in Charleston, which actually is believable because the airport never does well, and the fact that the airport had 33 hours ago,
Yes,
someone in Charleston that really hit a bullseye. I'm sure 40 is possible with that band that sat over Southeast Mass and Southern Rhode Island, Central Rhode Island, for so
right,
many hours this morning. 40 is actually because I think they were having around 3 to 4 inches an hour, nonstop,
right.
for 6 hours. So it's it's possible.
Yeah, and and I want to just mention a few other things because no matter what happens, this is a maritime system, and so there are other things that we're dependent on, right? We always have to consider not only the storm in and of itself, but other features within the entire planet, right? So in this case, like the bands can be, anywhere between 10 to 20 to 30 miles wide. They can stall out, they can pivot, right? Which is what you're seeing. You're seeing a pivoting of the mesoscale bands. They
Yeah.
can also really shift, and they can shift pretty quickly. They can shift, as you're saying, a couple of miles, like, 2 to 10 miles, they can shift. And then you're stuck with like 8 inches, 10, 15 inches where you are to like 30 to 40 inches, just a couple miles down the road.
Oh yeah.
I think
And
I
and
think
these
that's
poor
that's
TV meteorologists get killed for their prediction when it's like, dude, it was 25 miles. It was five
yeah.
miles difference, 10 miles difference.
But I think
Uh,
this is, but you're showing it. But I love what you're saying because you're giving us like, because I want a lot of people at home to understand like this is, Corey, I know you're going to give us more views. I want you to show us around and everything. And I don't know that you expected this to get this like science heavy, but I do appreciate that we can have this conversation. I do think that at this point in time, those of us who may not favor discussing things like weather migration or climate adaptation, I think we have to start considering it because this was a storm system that really did not behave as expected, as the Euro, the GFS, or the NAM anticipated,
no, the euro was terrible in this one. Oh, it was terrible.
which is usually not,
So,
right?
and it's usually as we said earlier, it's Doctor No because whenever the GFS has a blizzard, you look at Doctor No and Doctor No says, no, no blizzard for you," and it's usually right. In this storm,
Yeah,
even yesterday when the euro started kind of coming back to more of a blizzard, it was giving me 1.7 QPF, but of course, just south of here got 36 inches of snow. So, and it
right,
wasn't that cold where you get like 15-to-1 ratios. So Rhode Island doesn't get 15-to-1 ratios.
right,
So, it literally put out over 3 inches of liquid, I'm sure, to get 36 to 40 inches of snow
right.
in the jackpot zones.
Yeah, and
So,
so
but the euro, you got to use the mesos for when you get close. The euro's not going to tell you exactly where a deform band's going to set up, a 700
no,
fronto's
not at
going to
all.
set
No,
up.
it won't. But even as it was approaching South Jersey, you're looking at it and you're still saying, well, it looks like we're gonna start to see those heavier totals come in. Where I initially saw them, and I was like, well, like I said, my initial numbers were in the 20s, and I was comfortable there. And then I said, well, I looked at the NAM and I wasn't too far. Now, yes, we understand where they can go a little bit too high, but I did. If you go back to the NAM, the 0Z run for 222, It was the 0Z run on 222. You're going to notice that the NAM did pick up on higher snow totals for Massachusetts. And to be quite honest, I discounted it a bit. I said, well, but I still see everything, those mesoscale bands favoring farther south. So I looked at it, and if you go back to that run, you're going to notice that there were some high 20s and some 30s where the GFS didn't pick that up. So I think this is an interesting. I mean, you're walking through what? What did you say? What are your numbers that you're turning in?
I mean, it's hard to say we got more than 15 to 18. I just showed that this drift is pretty epic.
Yeah,
It's a pretty epic
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah.
drift. But the thing you have to worry about with the NAM is usually in coastals. It's too far northwest with the temperature. Like if it says it's going to rain, snow, it's probably further south. And the QPF is always too high. That's its bias. In this case, it was actually probably underdone in some
Right. In some
spots.
places, like that's what I said. It was a 0Z for 220,
That is a car, by
Yeah.
the way. There is a car in there
That's somebody's
now.
car. But really quickly, also let us know that right now they've pretty much issued a state of emergency and it's illegal to drive, right? That's what you said?
Well, and I did a little driving last night, but now, as
Mm,
I said, I shoveled this out thinking I would show you guys at least just around this part of
okay.
town. And you just, look, because I got my BMW, which is the best in the snow, but it is low. And the problem is people are driving out and they're getting caught
Yeah.
in the snow because okay, I could drive here, but then they haven't plowed. They last plowed at about 3 in the morning. I was still up. They have not plowed since. And this is the other thing: it's impossible to measure correctly because there's only 2 inches of snow here in the past 12 hours. So we've gotten more than 2 inches of snow in 12 hours,
Right.
but you wouldn't know. And the only way you know how much snow is there is when you inches of snow on my driveway. It feels like
Right.
a
Right.
lot more than 10 inches. You're like, this is not 10 inches. It feels like it's 20 inches, because the wind has been immense here. And the drifts, the only drifts I would say were better were 2013 and 2015 were better. But then also, if you look at horizontal snow, as they call it, the horizontal snow
Mhm.
on houses, look at this. So horizontally, this is the second best storm I've ever seen to the greatest storm we ever had in terms of power, which was 12/5, sorry, December 9th, 2005. That was like a true bomb
Right.
on December 9th, 2005. And the snow on the sides of the houses was even more than this, but this
Right.
is second to that. So in terms of drifts, I'm impressed. In terms of the horizontal snow, as they call it, I'm impressed. But in terms of snow totals, we're 5 miles away from this being a top 10 storm for me, and about 10 miles away from this being a top three storm for me. And many areas are number one across Rhode Island. And this is the first time you can't drive. Every storm you're not supposed to drive, I drive in. This one, they made it illegal. I do it anyway. It's unconstitutional to stop U.S. citizens from driving. But you can't. You
Right.
will get stuck.
Right.
And our news reporters that went to the news stations have harrowing stories of just trying to get to the news
Right.
stations, stopping on the highway, shoveling their cars on
Yeah.
95, like
Yeah,
crazy
I
stories
don't know that I missed
of
that
them
life.
trying
I
to
don't
get
know that
there.
I missed that life at all. To be honest with you, I remember. I think I covered. Well, I did cover the blizzard of 2013, and I remember it was wall to wall. I lost you, man. Are you still there? All right, guys, we may have lost CPEZ. Hang on, let's shoot him a text message.
Oops, did you lose
There
me?
he is.
But it was
Okay.
just 20 miles south. It's just like a
Yeah, yeah,
little
yeah.
nudge. That giant band that's set up from like 6 in the morning to 11 in the morning. We'd be looking at 3 feet would be second or third.
Exactly. And so I do want to say something. I lost your audio for just one moment. Can you
Yeah,
go back to what's happening with the local can we I'd love to see your face. Where are you? I missed you.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
losing you.
Hold on, hold on. Let's see. Let's see. And ta-da! Back to the snow. Let's
He's
see if we can get.
here. And once again, we're speaking, guys. We're
Yeah.
speaking with
Space,
CPEZ. If
space.
you
Sorry,
don't
sorry.
follow him,
How?
it's CPEZ, CPEZ. This is Corey. His specialty. If you don't know anything about him, he is he is a world-renowned accordion player, champion, but he also does have
Oh boy.
background in meteorology. He's an official Skywarn storm spotter, and he can officially report snow totals to anybody that falls under NOAA. And he does have his credentials. So we were getting solid information from CPES because I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best information as it stands with the snow totals in Rhode Island, which again, the setup with those mesoscale bands, the no models got it right.
They were
I mean, am I
close.
wrong?
They were
Oh yeah, but
close.
close is no close, but no cigars. Isn't that what they say? I mean,
No,
really,
no,
close
no.
is it?
But
Close ain't cutting it, babe.
but
Close ain't
what's
cutting it.
what is impressive though, is for New York City where I was, and I had so much stuff to do in New York City tonight and tomorrow. I had to cancel it all. As I said, I can't miss 24 to 36. I did. They got more than me.
They
They
got
got 20.
right,
Right.
right.
What did LaGuardia got, like 26? Or I mean, the
Yeah, they
numbers are
were in the upper
insane out there.
20s. Well, and that's
So
what I
is
said to
that
you
one of the biggest snowstorms of all time for New York
for
City?
them. Yeah. So, but that's exactly what I was saying. So, what I was saying was like in my head, I'm just going through. I'm like, okay, I know. I so again, I urge you to go back to the 0Z 220 226. Go to that run and look at the NAM. You're gonna find those higher totals in Massachusetts, which again, I poo pooed. I was just like, oh, they're those are way too high. Like I don't see this happening with these bands. And guess what? They ended up getting those higher totals. Right along like and Rhode Island. I was like, yeah, I could see Rhode Island getting like I don't know, high teens. I was just like, I mean, the way this deepened,
40.
and at right
40.
at the way it deepened, and at the point at which it did deepen, it of course is going to impact the entire structure of the storm. And now we're seeing that those bands favored closer to where you are, but you unfortunately only got what 14,
I
15.
think I was right on the edge where a lot of times you get screwed if you're right on
Yeah,
the edge
you
of a
can
heavy
see
band.
right,
You
right.
got
I
to
mean,
be inside it because I mean, there's even a report in Central Falls, which is the
right.
town just south of me, and it's very close to me. There's a report of 31. Now I think that's BS, but then there's another report pretty close to it that's 30, and I'm like, did I really miss out by like 4 miles of 30 inches of snow, and I can't even get 20? I mean, did that
Yeah.
really just
No,
happen?
you really did because you like you said, dry slop. You did. And a couple
Well, it was, but it was just you're right on the edge of the band, and you can suck some substance from them if you're because it's the energy is coming, and if you're right on the edge of it, you might actually lose out.
well, yeah,
Um,
well,
it's just when I saw that band, I'm like, all right, just come on, come just a little more, and it wouldn't. It just sat there, and it plowed TF Green, which is why they have the number one storm now of all time. It just went
yeah,
right over them. And it's funny, usually Providence in a big storm, they'll get 16, 17, and I get 27. That's usually how it works.
yeah.
In this case, they're going to get 36, and I'm
This
going to
time
get
you got
20.
chipped. Say you left New York City and
Well,
got
did you see that outer? I call it the outer buzzsaw. It was hanging over New York City last night, and then you wake up this morning, and it's still that outer buzzsaw was still right over New York City. It was
well,
crazy.
and so what I'm saying to you is that those bands, again, it was I'm just not happy with how any. I initially, again, I'm going to only say this that the NAM did peg those higher numbers farther north. And
Yeah.
you got to go back to that, which surprised me, but I ignored it and then said, but I see this landing somewhere between like South Jersey, New York City, kind of favoring, definitely wiping out Long Island, like whiting it out. And Long Island is pretty much whited out.
Wiping it out and whiting it out. That's what
Yeah.
they
I mean, because the winds were crazy. I mean, they had their blizzard, right? So I think though, like where you're with what you're talking about now, I wonder if the conversation now leans more towards, what's going on with the modeling. Like what's your feeling there
well, for the rest of the storm, you're saying?
in general? I
Well,
mean,
I
we're
mean, because
going into
I'm
hurricane
already
season.
I'm already on to looking at Wednesday and Friday system. I'm like, there's two other systems that are going to come through.
I mean,
It's like how
I'm
much
already in
snow?
June. I'm already on I'm in hurricane season already. I've got to
No,
do
but
my work.
what really sucks is my Climo since 1992, which is I
Uh,
call it the Great Snow Era, is 61 inches a year. I was only at 40 and a half before the storm. and I'm still not going to hit Climo, where
I'm
Providence just got it basically got Climo in one storm. Um, how great is that? Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
But you know what
Well,
though? Like I think this setup though is prime though for I think for future reference because this again once this is done once we're done with this in a couple more hours I'm curious to know the deep or the lowest pressure and I'm really curious to see what happened with the overall movement because again to me, I don't love the modeling. Like the GFS to me was off, the Euro was off, and the NAM again got like
it it's a
the NAM got
bigger
accurate like the last hour or
discussion
two. It's like
of why
what is it?
do our
I can't hear.
other models.
Wait, what? Come again? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. CPAS, I can't hear you.
But
CPAS.
why do our testing test
Okay, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
test? Oh, that was weird. I don't know why. I was just saying, it's quite sad that in 2026 we still don't know. Oh, look, they finally are plowing the drift. We still don't know much on weather. We still don't know. We can't predict what's going to happen, where it's going to happen. And the AI, right? We have the GFS AI and we have the Euro AI. They did the same as the other ones. They were off. They were on. Then they were off. Then they waffled. It's just like more models that are doing the same thing. They cannot nail what
And
is
I'm going to
actually
say
going to happen.
something to you, and I'm going to say something to you, and this is going to be at minute 25 to 27 ish. Um, I know you and I have discussed this in the past, but I do believe that this is an impact. This is one of the, this is what's happening due to climate adjustment or adaptation or change or whatever you want to call it because what's happening in the Atlantic basin is a big problem. I think that the Gulf Stream is understudied. I think the
Ah,
bathymetry of which our ocean depends on, right? Like are we truly understanding the floor of the ocean, and are we really understanding the Gulf Stream enough to understand why this storm didn't perform the way the models did? I think that there is a true problem from the bottom. And when I say the bottom, I mean like the bottom of the ocean all the way up through the top of the atmosphere, right? I think that there is an issue with what the models are picking up. And I do think a lot of it has to do with we don't understand calcification within the oceanic system in and of itself. Maritime models are weird or off. There's a lot of problems with the marine life. And I think that if you really think about it from the bottom up, I think that this is a maritime system. So I think the problem in the modeling would have been in the perhaps the beach erosion, how much land mass. I read. I want to say that I read something 2 years ago. Two scientists did some kind of study, and they calculated that over the past like however many years, the East Coast had lost about 26 kilometers of land. So are we calculating for the right amount of land mass now? I know this is really intense, CPES, but that's the storm really did not perform the way models suggested. And even for you to even add the AI, which everybody is like, oh, it's Bible if it's AI now. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, what are your thoughts? I don't want to get you into trouble, but I want your thoughts. Hello? I'm losing you.
let me walk to see if I get a better connection here.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. I got you now. Go
You
for it.
are
I don't want to get you into
frozen.
any type of trouble, but I think
Oh boy. Erica.
can you hear me? You got me? Oh no, he'll be back. Okay, guys. So he'll be back. I think he lost me at the most opportune time. As we were talking about, oh, there he is again. As we were talking about climate
Oh,
change
see,
and
I
adaptation. Oh, I You guys have to understand he's in a location that's rough right now. Let's see if he can sign in one more time, and we can have that discussion. Because honestly, what I personally can say to you all is that I'm seeing a major, a major impact as it pertains to overall modeling. And I do think that this is something that we have to understand from, like, when they say a top down perspective, I think this is from a bottom up perspective, because this is a maritime system. And so we now have to understand what's happening in the ocean, like what's happening in our atmosphere, why were the models. So again, I'm not going to be mad at the North American model at all, because I was really happy with the way it performed for Massachusetts, for Rhode Island, but it absolutely overperformed for the for this South Jersey. Oh, there he is. He's back. He's got him. We got him. We got
Did I
him.
get us back?
We got him. We got him. We got him. I said, oh, it was
No.
perfect. It was opportune that we lost him on a climate change talk.
Testing, testing.
Can you hear me? You got me?
I don't hear you though. I don't hear you
You
at
don't
all.
hear me? You don't hear
No.
me? No? Talk to me. No? Can you hear me? All right, guys. This is CPEZ who's out.
I don't know why I don't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Dang it.
You can't hear me? No? You know what we'll do is we'll end the stream. Okay, guys, we're going to end the stream and we'll come right back.